You're listening to Cosmic Cousins Soul-Centered Astrology. I am your host, Jeff Henshaw. Thanks for tuning in. Cosmic Cousins is dedicated to honoring the interconnectedness of our universal family through embodied health, self-discovery, and deeper learning. And it is here to bring you back into alignment with the cosmos. So thank you for being here as always. Hey, Cosmic Cousins. Welcome to another week of the podcast. This is our special Capricorn New Moon podcast episode, the final episode of 2022. And I want to say happy solstice to you. Happy Capricorn solstice to you. If you are on the northern hemisphere, today is the shortest day of the year. And something that I always think is really cool is we gain 2 minutes of light each day from here on out. If you're on the southern hemisphere, today is the longest day of the year for you. You're right at the beginning of summer, and I think this is the peak of the mountain, the peak of the Capricorn mountain, and so the days begin to wane. And this focus on the world at large here at the solstice feels really cool because Capricorn is a collective sign. It's collective earth. And one of its cards in the tarot is the World card, which is the final card of the major arcana. And so you could place the World card out here at the end of this year, 2022, and here at the start of Capricorn season. And the World card is traditionally shows a figure that is completely in the nude, dancing in the sky inside of a laurel wreath. And in each of the four corners of the card typically has the fixed astrology signs. There is an angel for Aquarius, a lion for Leo, an eagle for Scorpio, and a bull for Taurus. I've also seen other world cards have the entire zodiac wheel represented in that wreath. So either way, happy solstice to you. Happy Capricorn solstice to you. For those of you that are Capricorn sun, moon, or rising, this is a particularly special time of year for you. And we're honoring you here on this episode. So we have an exciting episode. I'll talk a little bit about the Capricorn New Moon with you. We're going to listen to a solstice Yule song called The Holly and the Ivy, which is been sent in by a Cosmic Cousins listener by Asheville, North Carolina-based singer-songwriter Adrianne Blanks. And then we also have a guest on the podcast today. We have an hour conversation with Lindsay Mann, who is a Akashic Records medium. And this is exciting. We open up the records for the Cosmic Cousins community for the year 2023. And that conversation is titled Vibrational Archives. And Lindsay is a Capricorn sun. So we get into more things Capricorn in that conversation. So it's an exciting episode today. Before we get into all of that, I would like to just share some community announcements. A big congratulations to our dear friend Heidi Rose Robbins for creating a new book. It's called Everyday Radiance, 365 Zodiac Prompts for Self-Care and Self-Renewal. And so it offers a daily dose of astrological encouragement that inspires us all to use the energies available to us in the most conscious, proactive, and productive ways that we can. And I think that all sounds very Capricorn, actually. Heidi is a Capricorn moon, conscious, proactive, productive. So congratulations to Heidi. I'm also a part of the Heidi Rose Robbins astrology team, and we just had our holiday Zoom meeting, so I'm filled with all the Capricorn goodness. There's something about this time of year that always feels really comforting to me. I think Capricorn energy, there's something about the security of it, the hard work, the coming together with people. I think this is something we don't talk about with Capricorn as much, but it is a collective sign. It's the collective earth sign. So it is connected to groups of people. But yeah, the announcement I wanted to share is that this week we just launched a new offering. So I, along with the 4 other soul-centered astrologers on Heidi's team, are offering 1-hour private astrology sessions. And this is just a great option for those who would like to book a reading with me, but maybe for a shorter amount of time. And so you can click the link in the show notes if you're interested in that. So yes, those are some updates I have for you now. I have a few more, but I'll share those with you after we tune into this Capricorn New Moon and to this Capricorn Solstice. So this new moon is on Friday, December 23rd, 2022 at 2:16 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So Friday for us. And whenever you're listening to this podcast episode, it's totally fine. You can listen to it anytime during Capricorn season, and it will shed some light on the energies that are available to us this time of year. This Capricorn New Moon is found at 1 degree. So you can look to your own birth chart and see if you have anything around the 1st degree of Capricorn. And maybe if you have anything at the 1st degree in any other signs. Like I know for me, I actually have a Virgo moon. I'm Aquarius with Virgo moon. My Virgo moon's at the 1st degree. And I'm just now tuning into that right now as we're sharing this. The Capricorn New Moon is at the 1st degree. So that indicates to us, right, it's about 1 day into Capricorn season. We're having this new moon right at the start of Capricorn season. And so the degrees match up roughly with the number of days into a season. So that's something to think about. So this Capricorn New Moon at the 1st degree. And you know, if you've tuned into the show, that I always offer you 3 phrases for each lunation. So I structure, I ground, I sustain. I structure, I ground, I sustain. These are the phrases that we have for this Capricorn New Moon. As I'm reading them out loud, they feel so practical. These phrases are just intuitive for me. They're things that I'm feeling into for the new moon, and we'll go deeper into them in a moment. But for now, maybe even just say them to yourself as a little mantra, an affirmation. Maybe they are journal prompts for you to go a little bit deeper. A lot of people are inspired by these 3 phrases to pull a tarot card for each one. And if you do, you could always post them on your social media and I'll reshare them. And I like to just take a look at what everyone else is going through and experiencing, because we are stronger together in community. So I structure, I ground, I sustain. So how might you benefit from creating more structure in your life? This is our first one, I structure. These are things for us to be considering this time of year. And so Capricorn energy, you know, I think about this a lot as someone who, I have Venus and Neptune in Capricorn in my birth chart. I also have Juno in Capricorn. So I have quite a deal of Capricorn energy. We all have Capricorn somewhere in our chart, even if there aren't any planets in Capricorn. But for me as a entrepreneur, someone that works for themselves, someone that's a creative, a teacher, a mentor, you know, Capricorn energy can be a little tough because it is a sign that's connected to tradition and society and the patriarchy. And so I think for me as an Aquarius, these are things that I'm letting go of. Capricorn's in my 12th house. So what is your relationship to Capricorn? You know, for me, there is a sense of when I embody Capricorn, I'm actually going against the status quo. And many of us are. Many of us who are interested in astrology are going against the status quo. And that takes effort. That takes discipline. That takes hard work. So even though I want to perhaps dismantle the patriarchy, work for myself as an independent spiritual practitioner, it still takes discipline, hard work, and effort. And the powers that be do not necessarily make it easy or simple for us to build a life that's fully in alignment with the earth. This is what Capricorn's really here to do, to teach us, is our connection to the earth as a whole. And so actually, the person that we have on the podcast today, Lindsay Mann, they work with the Akashic records, but they also are very interested in permaculture. And so I have the definition of permaculture here because it comes up in our conversation later. But I always connect permaculture to Capricorn as the collective earth sign. So I'm going to read this definition of permaculture, and I'd be curious to see what it brings up for you. Permaculture is an approach to land management and settlement design that adopts arrangements observed in flourishing natural ecosystems. It includes a set of design principles derived using whole systems thinking. It applies these principles in fields such as regenerative agriculture, town planning, rewilding, and community resilience. Permaculture originally came from permanent agriculture, but was later adjusted to mean permanent culture, incorporating social aspects. The term was coined in 1978 and was formulated as a concept in opposition to modern industrialized methods, instead adopting a more traditional or, quote, natural approach to agriculture. So, yes, this term permaculture, that definition feels very Capricorn to me. And I think that this is a invitation into many of the soul-centered traits for Capricorn. So Capricorn energy is connected to community. It's through community support and collaboration that we can build a future supportive for all people. It's through community support and collaboration that we are able to go against the status quo. And so it's like supporting local artists or supporting other practitioners. And so it's been really cool for me to be a part of a team with Heidi Rose Robbins, who is a Capricorn moon, and to see the way that she's structuring her business and her team. You know, as an Aquarius, I'm interested in bringing people together, but I've never necessarily had the ability to structure it in a way that brings people together. And so this is what Capricorn teaches us. It's really rewarding to bring people together and then to create jobs for other people. And so I'm bringing this up. I'm curious what it might bring up for you this Capricorn season. There is a focus on group energy, and perhaps even more so right now. And why I'm feeling called to share it with you is because Capricorn's ruled by Saturn. And Saturn is in Aquarius, the group, the community. And Saturn has been in Aquarius since March of 2020. So we have been more responsible for community and humanity. This is the last Capricorn new moon with Saturn still in Aquarius. Saturn, just to preview into 2023, will enter Pisces in March of 2023. And so we'll be shifting from the group, humanity, the collective, more towards the collective's emotions, meditation, spirituality, yoga nidra, sleeping, resting, magic, music, poetry. So this is the final Capricorn new moon with Saturn still in Aquarius. So for those of you with Saturn in Aquarius, your Saturn return is coming to a close. For those of you with Aquarian energy, this is the final new moon for you to tune into what this Saturn transit has meant for you. So this is all great. Capricorn energy reminds us of the group as a collective earth sign. And specifically, it encourages us to channel our love, our work, our focus through direct action. This is a cardinal earth sign. Cardinal initiates a season. So we're starting winter on the northern hemisphere, summer on the southern hemisphere. So we're directing our love, our focus through direct action, cardinal, but also through an expansive vision. It's the collective or the transpersonal earth energy, and then practical application, earth. So we're channeling our love and focus through direct action, expansive vision, and practical application. Any work or higher mission that calls for organization and integrity is greatly supported by Capricorn. And right now, it's not just the sun and moon in Capricorn, Capricorn New Moon. We also have Mercury in Capricorn, Venus in Capricorn, and Pluto in Capricorn. So on this new moon, take some time to go within. New moons invite us within. Even though Jupiter just entered Aries, and we are starting a brand new epic 12-year beginning. Jupiter takes 12 years to go around the sun. This new moon is still inviting us to carve out some space to go within, to plant seeds of intention for a more long-term sustainable approach, to be a bit more resourceful in your approach. You've been working really hard this year, so give yourself credit, particularly if you have Capricorn energy. And if you're able to, gift yourself some extra time off to recharge. This is great during a Capricorn new moon. So I also want to bring awareness to light, the light, right? Again, in the northern hemisphere, today is the shortest day of the year. We gain 2 minutes of light each day from here on out. Southern hemisphere, today is the longest day of the year. The peak of the mountain, the days begin to wane. Either way, no matter where you are in the world, how might you pay attention to the shifting of the light? Whether it's light that you're decorating a tree with or decorating your home with, whether it's the light that's shining through the trees or reflecting off of water, the light in our life is shifting and changing. So how might you invite more light into your life? How might you invite more light into your life? The esoteric phrase for Capricorn also brings a focus to the light. And we talk about this even more in the conversation with Lindsay in a bit, but I'm going to share it with you here now. So I find the Capricorn esoteric phrase to be one of the most mysterious of the zodiac phrases. And so I'm going to read it to you, but I'd first like to bring an awareness to the body. So each zodiac sign is connected to a different part of the body. Capricorn is connected to the knees and the bones, the teeth and the skin. So you can go ahead and place your hands somewhere on one of these body parts. I'm placing my hands on my knees. I'm doing little clockwise motions over the knees, sending love to this part of my body. So as you connect into the body, can you bring yourself into a state of greater stillness? And so a deep, nourishing inhale, breathing into the bones, breathing into the knees, the skin, the teeth. And then as you exhale, relaxing these parts of the body. Inviting in greater light into your life. So the esoteric phrase for Capricorn is, lost am I in light supernal, yet on that light I turn my back. Lost am I in light supernal, yet on that light I turn my back. So this phrase, to me, I've spent a lot of time meditating on it. I love asking people what it brings up for them. And that's what I think is really cool about these phrases. Again, these phrases are coming from the esoteric astrology tradition. And this is specifically written by Alice Bailey. Lost am I in light supernal, yet on that light I turn my back. What in the world? For me, this phrase speaks to enlightenment. It's a spiritual awakening, light supernal, and then the inevitable counterbalance of responsibility that comes with a newfound conscious awareness. So lost am I in light supernal, it's almost as if leaving this planet, expanding one's consciousness and awareness of what it means to be a spiritual being, getting lost in the light. Yet on that light, you turn your back and you head back towards planet Earth as a world server. This is what I heard this week from Bruna, who is another member of Heidi's team, another astrologer. coming back to this planet, serving the planet with that newfound consciousness. So it's, Capricorn energy. And when I reflect on this phrase, is the part of us that has climbed to the top of the mountain, has seen the light, but then knows that because of that, you hold a great deal of responsibility. And I think of this as an astrologer. Now that I have opened up the consciousness to incorporating astrology as a vocabulary into my life, there's no turning back on that practice. But I do turn my back on that practice to then share it with you. So as a conscious and awake human, in what ways are you taking on greater responsibility to help build a better tomorrow for future generations? It's not a very light question, The Capricorn energy can be really big. It's expansive. As a conscious and awake human, in what ways are you taking on greater responsibility to help build a better tomorrow for future generations? Capricorn wants to know. And so while this is a really wonderful question to meditate on, I also think it's important for Capricorn, and when we're working with Capricorn, to also be gentle with ourselves, to not hold ourselves to such high standards that we begin to build walls around our heart, or that we begin to lean into this. The word that's coming to mind right now is micromanaging the universe, or having this sense of needing to control the outcome or to be seen in a certain light. So we're also balancing that. And the Cancer full moon, which is coming up the first week of January, Cancer helps to balance Capricorn. And the Cancer full moon is on January 6th. So, yes, I structure, I ground, I sustain. So the questions I have for these three phrases: how might you benefit from creating more structure in your life? What practices might you call upon to encourage grounding? How might you better manage your resources for greater sustainability? These are thoughts and questions for us to be considering on this Capricorn new moon. If you'd ever like to see these questions written out, I do send out a newsletter with each new and full moon podcast that will have them typed out there for you. So you could always sign up for that at the link in the show notes. And so I'll leave it at that for now. I think there's a lot in there, and we have this beautiful song to listen to, and it's going to connect us to nature. I think this is something important to remember with Capricorn. Like right now I'm looking up, I have a mistletoe hanging in my place. I also have a vase filled with holly clippings, which is from my dear friend Lindsay Mann's house. I got to go see her and her family, her baby, who's 10 months old, this past week, and she gave me some holly clippings. And I also have some cedar clippings from my yard in my home right now. I made some Yule wands. I was telling you about that last time. So it is a time to connect to the evergreen, to nature that helps remind us of being sustainable and making it through the winter. And I think that's what this song is going to do for us. So I think it's really cool. As an added bonus for this episode, we had a Asheville, North Carolina-based singer-songwriter, Adrianne Blanks, reach out. Adrianne is a longtime listener of Cosmic Cousins and reached out sharing that the podcast has helped her get through a really tough transitional time in her life. And so she has just recently released this Yule song that's called The Holly and the Ivy, with the original pagan lyrics. And also, as a collaboration with 13 Asheville collaborators, Adrianne recently released a music video that goes along with this song. And so some of the collaborators include Trollbine Jewelry and Mountain Flower Fantasies, who make fantasy gowns. So this is offering us more of a connection to the earth-based traditions of ancient past, which I think Capricorn does. Adrianne does have Neptune and Capricorn in their chart, and they're in Aquarius rising. And Adrianne recorded a little intro to this song, so I'm going to play that now, and then we'll listen to this song, The Holly and the Ivy.
First of all, thank you so much for sharing my song on Cosmic Cousins. I am a longtime listener. I think I've been listening since 2018. I've spent many a new moon or full moon listening to Cosmic Cousins in the bath, and it has really helped me to drop in and slow down. I'm Adrianne Blanks. I'm a singer, songwriter, and witchy woman in Asheville, North Carolina. I'm also vegan, queer, and an Aquarius rising. I recently released my version of The Holly and the Ivy with the pagan lyrics and an accompanying full-scale music video in which 5 glamour witches and I perform a Yule ritual together around a bonfire. The music video can be found on YouTube and features the work of 13 Asheville collaborators, including Trallbenda Jewelry and Mountain Flower Fantasies, who make fantasy gowns. The reason this song is so special to me is because before I switched up my path to singer-songwriter, I was an opera singer working in churches and doing professional caroling. As I realized the music I was singing and the sermons I was listening to did not resonate with me, I started researching as much Yule music as I could just to help me get through the season. I wanted to record this song in my style because I knew I couldn't be the only one who didn't always resonate with the music of the season, but still wanted to celebrate in their own way. And I hope to bring the comfort I was seeking and found to more people. So if you like the song, I'll be honored if you share it with your friends or add it to your playlists on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you listen to music. And blessed Yule and happy winter solstice.
Rising of the sun and the running of the deer, the rounding of the shining moon, the weary worn hunter. The holly bears a blossom, white as lily flower, and ivy bears the blackest buds to pull him to her power. The holly bears a berry, red as any blood, and ivy bears the greenest leaves to wrap him in her hood. Holly bears a prickle, sharp as any thorn, and ivy bears a clinging vine to smother him right down. The holly bears a bark, bitter as any gall, and ivy bears small nectar flowers to sweeten all his fall. Trees that are in the wood, these two shall wreath as one.
Thank you so much, Adrianne, for sending that in to us here in the Cosmic Cousins community. It is a great reminder for all of us this time of year to just take some time to connect to music and to our loved ones. And so I'm grateful for you all in the Cosmic Cousins community. As we're closing out this year, I am thinking back to this year, 2022. It's been a lover's year. concept in the tarot philosophy. You add up the digits, 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 2, and we get 6, the Lovers. It has been a big year of connecting and conversation, even just here on the Cosmic Cousins podcast. And so as we close out this year, I'm reflecting back on all of the many collaborations that I shared with others in our community. And so thank you to all of those lovely humans and magic makers who joined me in conversation this year on the podcast. It is truly an honor to know you and to learn from you in this lifetime. And so I've put together a list of everyone that I had a conversation with. And so I just want to shout out these practitioners. I have a link to all of their offerings in the show notes too. So just a reflection, a recap of the year. These are the people we had on the show in no particular order. We had spiritual medium and multidimensional Mama Mary Greasy. We had the host of the Spiritual Gaze podcast, Brandon Alter and Angel Lopez. Astrologer Monique Ruffin, aka the Moon Mama. Spiritual mentor Olivia Clementine of the Love and Liberation podcast. We had Ellen Fondler and Heidi Rose Robbins of Chart Your Career podcast. Somatic healer Adriana Rizzolo of Body Temple Church. Sarah Jane Chapman, creator of the Be With Your Body Tarot. Kate Skelsa, author of Luminary, A Magical Guide to Self-Care. Somatic astrologer Renee Sills of Embodied Astrology. Queer Philly writer Aaron Johnson, the author of the poetry collection Moon Sign. Magical mentor Tandy Gutierrez of Unicorn Wellness. Astrologer Ray Sapp, the owner of the Mountain Astrologer magazine. Sound healer and Kundalini practitioner Pavanjit. Sound designers Aaron Pfeiffer and Audzina, the creators of the song Venus in Aquarius. And today we have Lindsay Mann with us on the podcast, who is a Akashic Records medium. So full of conversations and love this year in our Lovers year. And this podcast wouldn't be possible without you all in the community. So I'm sending you all a big love. Here's some reviews that people have been writing. This one comes from Al Carmez. They write, so sweet, informative, and inspiring. I've been listening to Cosmic Cousins for a few years now. It's become a wonderful way for me to meditate on the new and the full moons. Jeff's words and choices and guests are so regulating to my nervous system and help me ground into the cosmos and the earth within. That's really cool that you highlighted the guest. I didn't even mean to line that up with sharing about the guest and then sharing about your review. So thank you for writing in. And if you feel called, you could write a review or leave 5 stars on the iTunes page for the podcast. And so I appreciate you taking the time. Another announcement I have before we move on to our conversation. I announced this last time on the Gemini full moon, but I've been working on creating the Cosmic Cousins Astro Oracle deck. All of the images have been created, and I've created them and designed them in collaboration with Midjourney Artificial Intelligence. And so the deck is really beautiful. It's cosmic. It has really vibrant colors, and it's 78 cards total, just like a traditional tarot deck. However, the cards within are not traditional. They're more focused on astrology. And so there are 20 planets and asteroid cards. There's 12 zodiac queens, one for each sign. There's 12 esoteric phrases, one for each sign. 12 cosmic, ones for each sign. The 12 houses. The 3 modalities, 3 relational awareness cards, and 4 elements. So I'm excited about this. I received the 2 demo copies of the Oracle deck in the mail last week, and I'm really in love with this deck, this Oracle deck, and I think you will be too. I am still tweaking on some of the images and writing the guidebook, so it's not quite ready to be sent out to print. but many of you have been asking when you can purchase this Astro Oracle deck. And so I wanted to let you know that pre-orders for the Astro Oracle will be open on the Aquarius New Moon, so in a month, on January 21st, 2023. And the expected delivery date for this Astro Oracle will be this upcoming Pisces season, so late February. I'm shooting for the Pisces New Moon. And yes, so that's exciting. I'm really excited for you to have them. And again, I'm forever grateful for you and our community. Thank you to those who tune into the podcast and read the newsletter. And thank you especially to our Patreon supporters. If you'd like to support this podcast, then you can go to patreon.com/Cosmic Cousins. There's a 2-hour lecture on astrology and the body that's available for free for Patreon supporters. And your support helps me to continue to offer this to you as a free offering from my heart to yours. And so I'm wishing you a happy Capricorn New Moon. Happy birthday to the Capricorns out there. I'm wishing for you a peaceful closeout to 2022. And at this time, let's transition into our conversation with Lindsay Mann. I'll share a little bit about Lindsay. Well, actually, I read the bio during our conversation, so I don't think I need to do that now. Let's just go ahead and transition into this conversation with Capricorn Lindsay Mann. Okay, Cosmic Cousins, today with us we have a very special guest who is a Capricorn Sun. We're gathering in honor of the Capricorn New Moon, and I'd like to welcome to the podcast Lindsay Mann.
Hi.
Hey.
Thanks so much for having me.
I want to introduce everyone to you. I want to introduce everyone to your work and to your offerings. And so I have your bio here. And your bio was written in first person, which I loved, but I wanted to see if it's okay if I read it in third person.
Sure, go for it.
Okay. So Lindsay is an intuitive healing artist, author, and permaculture advocate who cares endlessly about this beautiful planet. Lindsay channels clear guidance from other worlds in support of this one. As a healing artist, Lindsay has combined Vedic meditation, their experience as a Reiki master, mediumship, and working in the Akashic records to connect and communicate with the most profound, subtle energies. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Just hearing all that feels like a big hug. Like I there's so much passion in all of that.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's talk about your big three. So your Capricorn Sun, what's your moon and rising?
My moon is Sag.
Okay.
And my rising is Cancer.
This is cool for us because Sagittarius and Capricorn are the signs right next to each other. And so in my own practice, I like feeling into the cuspy energy of how the signs transition into one another. And so for you having a Capricorn Sun and Sagittarius moon, you do offer us a representation of maybe how we're bridging these two worlds, which we also have that medicine on this particular Capricorn New Moon because it's falling so close to the solstice. So this Capricorn New Moon, just for the specifics, is at the first degree of Capricorn. So we're coming out of Sagittarius season and into Capricorn. So maybe let's start there. You know, what is it like for you to straddle these worlds of having this, what I like to call the cosmic fire sign Sagittarius, and then the cosmic earth sign Capricorn? The final four signs of the wheel I like to think of as the cosmic signs, or the collective interpersonal signs. So yeah, Capricorn Sun, Sag Moon. What's this like for you?
I think that what it's like is my Sag moon, like my whole inner world is really about like learning and growing and adventure and freedom. And then my like Capricorn Sun keeps me like regimented and organized. And so sometimes that is kind of a little bit of an internal battle of like wanting to be so like big and expansive and exploratory and then wanting to like set certain goals and have like the practical everyday steps to getting there. Mm-hmm. And even as I'm saying that right now, it's actually quite complimentary. You know, it's like, okay, so think big, want to go far, want to explore, have all this freedom and this play. And then how do we get there though? Right? Like, how can we get there tangibly, practically, step by step? So sometimes it feels like a little bit of an inner conflict, but it was interesting. As I was saying, I was like, actually, that's kind of work. It kind of works.
Well, conflict often will result in some sort of resolution. So when you can work with these maybe contradictory or conflicting energies, then it allows you to find greater balance. And you also have this Cancer rising, which is the opposite sign of the wheel to Capricorn. So you do have that balance there too. Mm-hmm. And we get to feel into that every Capricorn season because we're offered a Cancer full moon, which we'll have in the first week of January in the new year, 2023. Mm-hmm. So we're going to get into all of these energies today and see how it overlaps with your offerings. But mm-hmm. I'd love to know what this time of year means for you as we are crossing the solstice, the Capricorn solstice, I like to call it, because that honors those who are on the southern hemisphere who are having their summer solstice, and on the northern hemisphere, we're having our winter solstice. So where are you situated on this planet, and what does this time of year mean to you?
I'm in New York, mm-hmm. and this time of year is definitely a time of going more inward and reflecting and dreaming for the future. And I'd say maybe even more dreaming for the future, right? And so, you know, the end of the year and even the solstice, like the North Star, you know, having some beautiful dream or goal in mind of something to look forward to, something that inspires you, something to walk towards. And, you know, not getting so hung up as much on like New Year's, but on that transition of, okay, well, what is going to inspire me throughout this hibernation season? And again, the Southern Hemisphere, I know they're coming out of it, right? Mm-hmm. But for me personally in New York, it's like, okay, you're about to like hunker down and go in and, you know, what are you going to nurture? What's going to be the warmth in the darkness? What's going to be the little bit of fire in the darkness that's going to nurture you throughout the season so that you are just like ready to go come spring. And often, not these past couple years and not this year, but often I noticed I had, you know, a history of always like kind of escaping somewhere at this time. Maybe that's the Sag moon, right? You know, I would go on an adventure and just by myself, just a nice little treat to just like escape and feel freedom and have that spontaneous, serendipitous, right place, right time experience. And then the past couple of years have been really like hunker down, go inward, which maybe I have learned to adopt because, you know, I am a permaculture advocate and I've been studying it, and really like, you know, the cycles are encouraging you to rest and retreat and hibernate. And sometimes when we force ourselves to do too much, when your environment is going in and going quiet, that can cause a lot of distress in your body, right? To force ourselves to do things when perhaps our body wants to stick with the cycles of nature. So at this time, you know, we're celebrating, we're, you know, celebrating holidays with family and wanting to celebrate and party. And there's certainly the excitement of wanting to do that and gather, but then simultaneously also honoring your body wanting to kind of go inward and rest. So having a nice balance with that. Yeah. So I think over the past couple of years, I've gone a little more with honoring the cycles and going inward.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Yeah, there's a few things popping off in my mind. The first one, I just want to acknowledge New York. This is where the two of us met. And we go back from when I used to be a practitioner at Maha Rose. We met there. And I'm even thinking of Lisa, the founder of Maha Rose, is a Capricorn.
Yes.
And I'm thinking about Luke Simon, who is a co-founder, has a Capricorn moon. There's a lot of Capricorn energy around organizations, I find, particularly for me, even in the healing community. It doesn't always have to be like corporate Capricorn, but those who are really committed to building structures, whether physical structures or spiritual structures for the community. This is Capricorn. Like Capricorn is at home when it has a place that it can work that's in alignment with what I like to call the soul mission, or having some sort of way to channel their need to be of service, have like work that calls for organization and integrity.
Yes.
And it's often for some sort of higher spiritual mission. We have to remember this is the sea goat. We're coming from the depth of the water. And I think that was one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on for the Capricorn New Moon, is because you really do balance these two worlds really well. And, you know, I wasn't as familiar with your offering when I was living in New York, but it's been through the power of social media that I have been able to follow your work. And because of your willingness to put yourself out into the world with your Akashic readings that you do for the collective. So I had noticed a particular resonance with your messages, and also a lot of that had to do with your consistency of continuing to show up to the offering too. So I'd love to check in about that too. What inspired you to start putting your Akashic messages out through social media? Because I know this is something that maybe a lot of the listeners, not a lot of them, but some of them might have some reservations around putting their spiritual offerings out online. What that took for you to do that. And are there ever times where you're like, I don't really want to do this anymore, but you keep showing up? I noticed that you're very consistent with your offering, almost as though it's like a devotional practice.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to check in about that, like this Akashic Records part of your life and what this offering means to you. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I just, we're all always going through challenges, and however I can offer support and service, like I'm committed to supporting, and I'm just very, very giving. And I was trying to find a way that I could give in like a very succinct, grounded, direct way. And it took some time for me to figure out what that looked like. And in those collective weekly readings, the questions I'm asking, there's always three. I say, 1, 2, and 3. And what I ask the Akashic Records, because there's such an importance in what questions you ask the records. Like that's the juicy part, is like, what are the questions? And so what I ask in those 3 questions is, what do we need for support this week collectively? How can we remain adaptable? And what's the most important message? And these are very like open-ended questions. And I feel like they allow us to be creative. When you're open, you're more creative as opposed to kind of being like constricted. And so it took me a while to hone in on what that looked like. I used to do like 45-minute readings and post them on Instagram, and like, no one's going to sit there for 45 minutes, even though they were these fascinating readings on like the most interesting things. It's like, put that on YouTube, But I wanted to offer something weekly. And to be honest, like it's also for me, kicking it off on a Monday. It's like, whatever the week holds for us together, what do we need to get through it? And sometimes the messages resonate immediately. And then sometimes it unfolds at the end of the week, and you're like, oh, that's what that meant. And I find it so beautiful and fascinating when I hear, my tarot reader friends or, my astrologer friends, and they're saying, we're getting the same message, we're getting the same thing in like slightly different ways. And so it's so beautiful to see this like interwoven resonance, has us, it connects us and makes us feel less alone when maybe we feel alone. So it took some time to hone in on what that weekly gift offering would be. But I love to show up.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing from you is it's every Monday that you release.
Like Sunday, Monday. That's the mood. That's the mood. Like if I can't do it but it's usually Sunday or Monday. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a structure that you've created for it. You know, this feels really resonant with Capricorn of having those 3 questions that you reflect on. So for those of you listening, Lindsay offers this on their social media, and it's the Akashic Records. Yeah. And your Instagram handle is Hey Clarity.
Hey Clarity.
I'd love to know where that name Hey Clarity came from. And also if you could share with us from your experience what the Akashic Records are.
Sure.
That would be helpful. I know a lot of us know the Akashic Records, but it's always nice to hear a new definition or explanation of them, because everyone has their own relationship too.
Amazing. Yes. I'll start with the Akashic Records because I'll start with the Akashic Records explanation because this is so much fun. You'll do research and people have slightly different interpretations. The words come out of each channel differently, right? Mm-hmm. Generally saying the same thing. I would say my favorite definition of the Akashic Records is by Hungarian philosopher of science, Ervin Laszlo. And he called them the electromagnetic imprint of everything that's ever happened in the universe. And that the universe has an information field that we can draw information from. And what that means for those who like more kind of sciencey explanation of things is everything that's ever existed in the universe still exists on an atomic level, right? Atoms can't be destroyed. And so when we are channeling, when we're connecting with the vibrational match, this energy of the Akashic Records, and cultures have been doing this for eons. When we connect with the Akashic Records, we can inquire and ask questions and receive answers. And again, cultures globally for eons have tapped into the records. You know, you might do it by accident, but you can intentionally go in and open the Akashic Records on someone or something and inquire and ask questions and receive information. Another more common definition of the Akashic Records is the vibrational archives of every soul's journey throughout all its incarnations. And so what that means is, you know, many people refer to the Akashic Records as a library or the books of life, the books of lives. And so that's, if you open the book on you, it's all of your past lives, everything going on in your present life, and then all future possibilities. And I think what's also, you know, important to know is that, you know, the Akashic Records is providing this higher perspective, there's non-duality. It's the perfect balance of your light and your dark. And one time, you know, I had an experience with a client who was trying to understand the records, and they gave me this beautiful visual to share with her on explaining the perspective of the records. And so it's the soul's perspective from the highest perspective. So we can call it ultimate truths in balance of your light and your dark. And the record showed me a visual of a mountaintop that was half in the sun and half in the shade, half in the light and half in the shadow. And the perspective, there was this tiny little light on the apex of this mountain, the perfect balance of your light and your dark in perfect harmony. And that is truth, right? The balance of both. And so that was their gift to explain what this information is and why you can trust it, why you can believe it.
Wow. And the fact that you feel called to share that image with us right now, particularly in the light of Capricorn energy, is perfect, because Capricorn is the sign that's connected to the mountain. It is like, I think of a yoga pose that I do for Capricorn is mountain pose. when I take myself into a meditation or a journey with Capricorn, it's often at the top of a snow-capped mountain. And it's also reminding me of the esoteric phrase for Capricorn, which I sent to you earlier this morning. Don't always send the esoteric phrase early to the person that I'm having a conversation with, but I wanted to give you a little extra time to meditate on the Capricorn one because it's maybe the most esoteric of all of them, which I think is also fascinating for all of us to just consider for Capricorn, as it is a very esoteric and occult sign that I think we don't always necessarily talk about it in that sort of way. So I'm going to share the esoteric phrase for Capricorn while also keeping in mind this beautiful image that you gave of the mountaintop and the light and the dark. And then I'd love to just hear what it brings up for you as a Capricorn. So the phrase for Capricorn is, lost am I in light supernal, yet on that light I turn my back. And I'll say it one more time because it's just nice to have it land in. Lost am I in light supernal, yet on that light I turn my back.
Yeah. I really appreciated you sending me that message because I did need to hear it. I needed to read those words and I needed to sit with that. And it was so deeply resonant. And what that meant to me was a current experience where, you know, I was being shown a truth from the Akashic records, from my upper world guides. I was being shown, something was being illuminated to me, a truth that I didn't want to see. And I so badly didn't want to see it that I started to question what I trust the most in this world, which is my intuition, my guides, my upper world, Akashic records, all of that truth that I live my life being supported by. They were illuminating something that I so desperately did not want to be true, that I questioned for a minute, hey, you know what? Maybe this isn't real. And so that was me turning my back on everything that I believe in because my ego didn't want to accept something. And it never happens to me, but it really happened big. And so that phrase was like so deeply appreciated.
Mm-hmm. And so what happened next? Did you turn your back on that truth, or are you still opening yourself up to receiving the insight from it? What do we do when we're working with these practices like the Akashic records and there's a message that comes through that we're not willing to receive or ready to receive? How do we work with that and navigate that?
Yeah, I mean, we have free will. You know, we can choose to believe whatever we want to believe. You can accept it or not accept it. And I think my answer to that is just to let it unfold, continue processing and integrating, using discernment, and maybe do a little bit more, research and gathering some evidence. But wow, what a big, confrontation to be like, really? You're going to question everything you believe in or have believed in until this moment. So I would say there's a level of processing that I need to do. I mean, usually when I get messages on anything, and I encourage clients all the time to journal, like write it down and sit with it, because some things resonate right away. Some things resonate a couple days later, weeks later, months later, years later. But to write it down and look back, and they might mean different things depending on what's happening in your life, but they always seem to resonate. They just reveal, like, the words can have multiple layers and meanings in them. So I'm feeling like in this position is to let it unfold, right? To kind of just sit with it and let it unfold. Yeah.
When I hear that phrase, the esoteric phrase now for Capricorn, I'm going to think of the visual that you gave of being on top of the mountain and having that balance between light and dark. And I'm noticing this light beam shining in the room that you're in right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I'm just, it's something for us to think about around the solstice too. It's the shifting of the light. And so once we make it to the solstice, and if you're on the northern hemisphere with the winter solstice, that is that moment where we gain 2 minutes of light every day. There's a collection of poems, I think it's by Nancy Pearson, but it's called 2 Minutes of Light. And it's their journey of sobriety and talking about how each day it gets a little bit lighter. And there's something in that perseverance of Capricorn too, of that willingness to take those little steps every day towards healing. When I hear the phrase for Capricorn, I will share what it brings up for me. It's different for me every time, but I was reflecting on it through the lens of your offering. And thank you for your willingness to share your very real, human experience with that phrase and what it brings up. It's very relatable. But the phrase for me, when I was reflecting on it this morning on my walk, when I was walking my dog around the neighborhood, was I was almost feeling like you being so connected to spirit and the Akashic, and maybe even being able to completely lose yourself in that, being immersed in light. So lost in Mayan light supernal, but then you make a conscious decision to turn your back on it, to then be of service here on this planet. It's like, oh, I could have left, but I'm here. And what am I going to do with this incarnation? And so this is making me think of your connection to permaculture, which often has a very strong resonance for Capricorn, because Capricorn is connected to the earth. It's an earth sign, and particularly it's the collective earth sign. So we have Taurus, which is personal earth. This is my body. This is my art. We have Virgo, which is interpersonal earth, which is this is your body. Let me offer healing. Let me give you some acupuncture. Then we have Capricorn, which is collective earth, which is this is all of our body, which is planet Earth, which often is makes me think of permaculture or sustainable practices. So I feel this with your Capricorn. It's this very spiritual energy, which, by the way, in your chart, you have Neptune in Capricorn, which really does shape a lot of the Capricorn influence, which many of those listening may have Neptune in Capricorn. This is a generational placement. I believe it's babies born from 1984 to 1996 have Neptune in Capricorn. So you have Neptune, which is the planet of mysticism and other worlds, which is one of the words you use in your bio, conjunct Mercury in Capricorn. So Neptune and Mercury together, communicating Mercury with other worlds, Neptune in the sign of Capricorn. How does it bring us here on Earth? How are we using this to serve others and to connect to this planet? So you have that energy along with your sun in Capricorn, and then you have Jupiter in Capricorn conjunct your sun. And Jupiter is the planet of faith and expansion and philosophy and teaching. So I think this is always important to know when we're working with astrology, is that there's a complexity of other planets going on too. And so not only are the sun in Capricorn, but you may not be the traditional expression of Capricorn, particularly because I'm feeling this Neptune in Capricorn really strongly with you. Yeah. So yeah, what does permaculture mean for you as a Capricorn? And maybe even what I was sharing about the esoteric phrase of turning your back on the light to be of service here. Be curious.
Oof, that's loaded. So yeah, let's see, where do we start with that? So yes. So in the ways that I am tapped into other worlds and my mediumship and, passed on loved ones and the underworld, and, Earth, I feel the interconnection of all of that, the plants, the animals, the people, right? Spirit. And through permaculture, spirit and heaven and the underworld and all of that, I connect with those energies and entities and beings and listen to them. And they have information to share with us about our world right now and what we're going through. There's so much support. And for those who are able to listen and to receive that information, they're giving us information about our environment, about the land. And so there's being that connection between hey, like, people in the flesh in the material world are trying to work hard to do all these things, but there's this whole other area of support that wants to tell us things that we can't see, that wants to share things that we can do better. There's like a co-creation that needs to happen. So being the bridge between the spirit world and earth and people, living people, to create that connection and to receive that supportive information that we need to support us, right? And sustainability. So permaculture, creating harmonious ecosystems, knowing when to step in, like pulse, and when to lay back, right? We have such an important role in supporting our ecosystems. And so we have these cycles, these ecosystems of all the beings, and they're all meant to be here. But when things are out of balance, something gets thrown off, something gets thrown off. And we have the ability to see when the cycle, the ecosystem is working really well, and we can watch it and we can pull things out and we can put things in so that it's running smoothly. I feel like the groundedness of permaculture, like that's like earth love, right? So when I am feeling too up in the upper worlds or the records and hanging out with spirit, like being kind of floaty, like coming back down and feeling even like the electromagnetic field of the earth, getting your hands in the soil, like I'm here, I'm in my body, I'm alive, like the richness of the earth and the trees and the plants and the beauty of the flowers, and supporting all of that. So, yeah, I mean, there's just so much in all worlds, and there's such an interconnectedness and a beauty that is just so beautiful to tap into, and sustaining that, right? Working together and co-creating to sustain that. It's so full, it's so rich, and it's so abundant.
I love that you're bringing it back to the body. And this is something I do a lot in my practice with astrology too. It's so important to balance these very cosmic spiritual practices with the body. And it's really, the body was the gateway for me in order to access spirit. And so I always have to remember that too. And I'd love to share some of Capricorn's body parts to help situate us in the body. I'd be curious to see if these body parts have a particular resonance with you as a Capricorn and what they bring up for you. So again, each zodiac sign is connected to a different part of the body. Capricorn is connected to the knees, the teeth, the bones, all of the bones in the body, and the skin. So the knees, the teeth, the bone, and the skin. So the structures of the body, also like the environment, the skin. What do these body parts bring up for you?
When you say knees, I feel like that the climbing of the mountain, the strength, that will, that sometimes, if I'm having like knee issues, it's like maybe I'm carrying too much weight on my knees, or I'm, climbing too hard or too fast. The teeth one, I'm not 100% sure, but bones for sure, the structure. And then skin for sure, constantly having like these reactions, this absorption or porousness or barriers, and the sensitivity to the environment around me, feeling, bringing things in. So I think all of them, I'd have to sit with teeth a little bit longer, but for sure bones, knees, and skin resonate.
I think of the teeth as and the bones, there's this sense of like taking care of the things that need to last our whole life. You can think of like flossing and just these sort of like day-to-day maintenances of like brushing the teeth. And they're also in some way, Capricorn's connected to our public appearance, taking care of your teeth and smiling and like showing who you are. I don't know. There's a lot in the teeth. I've also heard it's connected to like finances too. Like if you dream of like having no teeth, I've heard the knees and the teeth both connected to finances too, which Capricorn's a financial energy and sign. We said we were going to look at the Capricorn New Moon chart together today. And I wanted to check in with you about this too. what is your relationship to astrology? How are you connected to astrology? And does it intersect with your other practices at all? We have Reiki, mediumship, Akashic records, and Vedic meditation, which I don't actually know what Vedic meditation is.
Vedic meditation changed my life. That's for sure. That was the biggest shift. I've always been just like, as like a very like curious, but more like surface level relationship to astrology. So I think astrology was probably like one of the first things I got into as far as just like reading my horoscope and trying to understand some of my chart. But then when it got into like the more like technical in-depth, my brain just went, nope, can't do that.
Yeah. Did you resonate with being a Capricorn?
I did. I did. I think I've always resonated with being a Capricorn. And then when I started digging more into my chart, like resonating with like South Node in Scorpio, North Node in Taurus, Venus in Pisces, Venus in Mars, like those were some of the things. Those were some of the things. Yeah.
Yeah. You have Venus and Mars conjunct in Pisces. And then you have Pallas Athene, the asteroid in between Venus and Mars. I want to show you this. Is it okay if we look at your chart a little bit?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I mean, this one's like
I don't understand. I don't understand the depths of it. I know very superficial level.
Yeah. Which is fun for us to have people who aren't as like versed in astrology, who are also like have spiritual practices, because then we can still see it in the chart. And it's like, you don't even need to know what's in your chart in order to just resonate with it, which I always think is just fun. Yeah. You have Venus and Mars conjunct in Pisces, but then there's Pallas Athene, which is right in between them. And so Pallas is a really key part of this. Pallas is what I often say pierces through the veil of illusion. And the symbol for Pallas is a diamond spear. And so you can think of piercing through the veil. And so Pallas is an open psychic channel. And in the sign of Pisces, connected to spirit. So piercing the veil, connecting to spirit, other worlds, Pisces. And Venus is how you relate, how you make money, how you connect to the earth and your body. And then Mars is how you direct your ambition and your willpower and your force. So when we put all of these together, it is connecting to the body, to the earth, to others, to money, through piercing through the veil of illusion by directing your life force there. And it's all in the sign of Pisces, so other worlds. And then it's in the 9th house of philosophy, worldview, teaching, higher learning. So this part of your chart is like right on, like for all the work that you do in the world. It feels like connected to meditation. It feels connected to the Akashic records. It feels like all of it.
That's so
love that part of your chart. And I think this is a great example because you didn't even know about Pallas Athene, I guess not, right?
I've never heard of it. No.
But it's so strong and resonant in your chart. So that's what's fun for me as an astrologer is I can pull up a chart and just immediately when I saw your chart, I was like, oh, yep, check there. Yep. I see all of this. It's all activated and awakened in your life. So cool. Yeah. Did any of that bring up a thought or a memory hearing about those 3 planets together?
I mean, it just, I don't know. It just feels so right. Like it feels so, like really kind of like trusting in that. Like any times that maybe there's like doubt in like the importance of it. It's like, no, that's so true. It's so true. It's so true. Like keep trusting. Like this is who you are. Like, this is who I am. This is, yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. So why don't we pull up this Capricorn New Moon chart? And also we had communicated about the potential of you tuning into the Cosmic Cousins listeners and perhaps maybe even opening up the Akashic records with us here on the show today.
Yes, absolutely.
Which is a Cosmic Cousins first time. We've never done this before. So this feels really exciting. So I'm going to pull up the Capricorn New Moon chart and I'll just share a few things of what I'm seeing. And then maybe you can walk us through what opening the Akashic records on a podcast might entail.
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. So the Capricorn New Moon, as a reminder for us, is December 23rd, 2022, the last new moon of this calendar year. And what day of the week is that? December 23rd is a Friday, Venus's day. So I always look to the planet that the day is ruled by. And so it's highlighting a little bit of that Venus energy, which Venus is currently in Capricorn. So we have the sun and the moon at the first degree of Capricorn, Venus and Mercury and Pluto in Capricorn. So a lot of Capricorn energy is available to us on this new moon. And this Pluto in Capricorn is important, particularly for you, Lindsay, actually, because you are sun in Capricorn at the 27th degree, which means you were born towards the end of Capricorn season, your birthday. Happy birthday to you. You got a little bit of ways though, because you're at the end of Capricorn season. That's what that 27 degrees indicates to us, is that you were born 27 days into Capricorn season. So January 17th. But yeah, Pluto is currently at the 27th degree of Capricorn. So that means Pluto is conjunct to your sun right now, Lindsay. So this is a long-term transit. Pluto takes sometimes up to 30 years to move through a sign. So we've had Pluto in Capricorn since 2008. And Pluto is the planet of the underworld, which you did mention today. You know, so we've been on an underworld journey with Capricorn since 2008. And so we have felt this with the global pandemic. We felt this in the government. You know, Pluto's death and rebirth. Capricorn can be patriarchal structures going through a transformation. But it's also coming into your power. So like Pluto being with your sun right now is you coming into your power and going through some sort of transformation. So the reason I'm bringing this up is because Pluto leaves Capricorn in 2023 and enters Aquarius. So this is the last new moon with Pluto in Capricorn. Although Pluto will re-enter Capricorn a few times, it will retrograde back and forth between Aquarius and Capricorn. This is the final new moon with the new moon and Pluto in Capricorn. And I stand corrected. I wanted to go back and just double check that was true. This is not the final Capricorn new moon with Pluto still in the sign of Capricorn. But this is the second to last new moon that Pluto will be in the same sign as the new moon in Capricorn. So just a little recap. Pluto will enter Aquarius on March 23rd of 2023. And then will be retrograde, will re-enter Capricorn on June 12th of 2023. And then Pluto, there will be a Capricorn new moon on January 11th of 2024. And Pluto will be at the final degree of Capricorn, the 29th degree of Capricorn, on January 11th of 2024 on that Capricorn new moon. And then right after that new moon, Pluto re-enters Aquarius on January 21st, 2024. Pluto will station retrograde and re-enter Capricorn on September 2nd of 2024 and only be in Capricorn for just a short 2.5 months. And then Pluto will enter Aquarius for good on November 20th of 2024. So this does offer us a time to just go within new moon and to connect to these Capricorn themes, whatever this conversation is bringing up for you. And also know that we are on the threshold of some major shifts that will be happening collectively as Pluto enters Aquarius over the following 2 years. So these are some of the things that I'm seeing. I'd be curious to see, you know, I loved how you were saying that when you post online your offering, that you'll then have other healers reach out and say, oh, I was receiving the same thing. So I'm very curious to see how some of this invitation of this Capricorn new moon might overlap with the Akashic too. The Akashic. Can I refer to it like in first name only?
Sure.
The Akashic.
The Akasha. The Akasha.
There it is.
The records. The
records. That's what I normally hear.
The records.
I was like, something doesn't sound totally right.
Yeah. I mean, we have so many options. We can open the Akashic records on the Capricorn new moon. We can open the Akashic records on 2023. We can open the Akashic records on the Cosmic Cousins community.
Ooh.
So
okay. Yeah. I'm feeling, Capricorn is like big energy. Like, I think like the whole year, like 2023 feels nice. And particularly maybe for the Cosmic Cousins listeners could be interesting because I feel like there's just so much other collective energies going out in the world right now that it might be nice to tune in just to those that are listening.
Let's do it. So I will open the Akashic records on the year 2023, specific to the Cosmic Cousins community. Okay.
And all the angels sing and clap. I'm feeling like fairies clapping.
Yeah. So just be patient because the way that I love to work in the records is I formally open and close them with an opening prayer and a closing prayer. So I use Linda Howe's pathway prayer process. And some of it you'll hear me say out loud, and some of it I'll say quietly to myself. And then once I say the records are now open, I'll be receiving visuals or information that's coming through. If Jeff, if you do have specific questions that you'd like to ask for the Cosmic Cousins community, once I say the records are now open, you can jump in and do that. Or I can always use default questions, which is, what's the opening message or visual for the Cosmic Cousins community, or what's the most important message that the Cosmic Cousins community needs to know for 2023. We can keep it kind of short and sweet. It's up to you.
I remember you offered that 3-question structure too.
Yeah. Okay. We can do that.
So maybe we'll do that just to practice that. Okay.
Yeah. So what do we need for support? How can we remain adaptable? And then what's the most important message?
Boom, boom, boom.
I love it. Okay, great. So you will hear me say again, the opening prayer and the closing prayer. So I will begin right now. And so we do acknowledge the forces of light, asking for guidance, direction, and courage to know the truth as it is revealed for our highest good and the highest good of everyone connected to us. O Holy Spirit of God, help me to know the Cosmic Cousins community for the year 2023 in the light of the Akashic records, to see the Cosmic Cousins community in the year 2023 through the eyes of the Lords of the records, and enable me to share the wisdom and compassion that the masters, teachers, and loved ones of the Cosmic Cousins community in the year 2023 have for them. The records are now open. So I'm getting the coolest opening visual. So I'm like sitting in a room and I'm seeing like a Christmas tree that's like upside down hanging from the ceiling.
Wow.
The focus is on the star at the top of the tree. And I'm getting the words upside down. Something about a North Star being upside down, but it's like cool. And I'm getting this feeling of like, do you remember like Jamiroquai's music video, Virtual Insanity, where he's like walking on the walls and walking on the ceiling in this room? If you guys don't know, go find that. Go look it up on YouTube. But they're showing as if a room is like upside down and you're getting this like perspective. It's almost artistic. It's very cool. But what the words I'm getting are, there's cool upside down, and that this tree is almost on the ceiling, attached to the ceiling, upside down, and the star is right in front of you.
Whoa, trippy.
Yeah, so we'll see what that means. So we'll start with the first question. What does the Cosmic Cousins community need for support in the year 2023? They're like showing you like holding stars, holding on to your stars, almost as if someone has this like string light of a bunch of stars and they're like hugging them, like grabbing them, and holding them close to their chest. And part of it is I'm getting like the light of your guidance, the light of your guidance, the light through your darkness, the light through darkness. And now my ears are getting hot. So that's a mediumship thing. That's something else. So, and I'm even getting like countdown and like counting your lucky stars. Light your way. The stars light your way. And trusting your guidance, your inner guidance, and the guidance of the stars. And they're showing you have a star on your heart, and it's attached. There's like almost like a string attached to the stars in the sky. And like they're saying like this direction up into the sky, like looking upward. There's so much like hope and faith in looking up at the stars for guidance. And they're showing that like all the stars in the sky, like we all fall down from the sky, like we're all stars falling down from the sky. And so we look back up at ourselves, at the stars, who we are, who you are, and it's reflected back at you. And so there's this sense of like you're home away from home.
It's reminding me of the Fool and the Thoth tarot deck is open, like the arms are open, like almost like you're like laying in Shavasana, but you're standing up, and then there's a umbilical cord coming from the heart that spirals around them and then eventually connects to the cosmos. And it's like the cosmos are like getting pumped in through the heart center. So that tarot card, that visual came to me when you were describing it.
I love that. And with the records, it's a picture is worth 1,000 words. So everything that I'm visually describing is going to resonate with everybody exactly as it's meant to. It's going to bring up exactly what it's meant to bring up for you. I love that so much. So how can the Cosmic Cousins community remain adaptable in the year 2023? Integration, further down, materials. So I'm getting like really grounding and integrating your cosmic knowledge and guidance and wisdom in your everyday practical tasks. Like I'm getting like I'm getting like your papers, your computer, like see the stars, see the guidance in your material world. And they're saying in like a particular way that works for you. So how can you bring the astros? How can you bring the astrological world in something that you're touching, in something tangible? And I'm getting that it's to like reimagine your world in front of you. And it's part of almost like bringing it closer to Earth, to the planet.
Grounding that ass from all the new age sass.
You go. Yeah.
It's making me think of the North Node of Fate is in Taurus right now. And the North Node offers us a place for ways that we evolve. And Taurus is really practical, bringing it into the body, bringing it into the earth. And the North Node of Fate on this new moon is conjunct Uranus, which is the planet of cosmic practices like astrology. So there is something particular, even on this Capricorn new moon, of Venus is at the 16th degree of Capricorn trine the other earth sign, Taurus, North Node, and Uranus in Taurus. So I'm just reflecting back how I see that present in our current astro weather. And the North Node of Fate will be in Taurus for the first 7 months of 2023 too. So we're being guided towards this embodiment of connection to bringing it here in a tangible form. So I feel that supported by what you're sharing.
Every time you say Taurus, they're showing almost like your world, almost like painted in like gold and stardust.
Ooh.
So if you're like looking in your home and just imagine this like beautiful coating of everything just painted in almost like this like transparent, translucent gold and stardust. Every time you said Taurus, they showed that.
Wow. Epic.
Okay. So let's say the last one. What's the most important message that the Cosmic Cousins community needs to know for the year 2023? What's the most important message? So now they're showing, there's a lot of tree references today. So now they're showing me an evergreen tree and it's facing me, but it's like all this, the part that's facing me looks like all the branches have been like cleared off, like it's almost bare. But then on the other side of it, it's still full. So there's something about if you're faced with something that looks barren or bare or stripped down, they're saying the other side of it is quite abundant. So don't stay facing that bare side. They're almost like shift your perspective, like move around the thing, move around it to look at it from different degrees, and you'll see the abundance. Like it's still healthy, it's still good. The rest of this evergreen tree is still thriving, but this one section might look bare. So it's like there's like a 360 view. There might be a portion that's not doing so great, that looks barren. And they're like, yeah, but the rest of it's okay. So there's something about looking at more, looking at the abundant side and not focusing or fixating on the side that's bare.
Is this a message for actual like movement? Like I'm thinking about like moving around the tree, like moving the body. Or is this more of a like half glass full kind of message?
I'm getting a little bit of both. Specifically, yes, the movement. So you might have to like physically shift your position to make the part that's abundant in front of you. Because they're also showing like, okay, well, this is an evergreen tree, right? So it's rooted in the ground. And so the tree's not going to turn. You're going to have to move around it. You're going to have to, you can't turn the tree. The roots are rooted. So you're going to have to shift your perspective. You're going to have to shift your position or your placement to get in front of the part that's abundant, to get that in front of I'm getting like front facing.
And why an evergreen tree specifically?
Okay. What is the relevance of the evergreen tree? So evergreen is kind of like forever, still rooted, deeply rooted in the earth. And there's something about some things deeply rooted in earth might seem that they're immobile, but you're mobile. You can move around. You can shift your perspective. You can shift around. So if something is immobile, you move. So as I'm coming to the end of that question, are there any other questions that come up, or do we feel complete and want to close?
Maybe if there's just like one final random message that wants to come through.
Yeah, let's see. Okay. Is there a fun random message that the Akashic Records have for the Cosmic Cousins Collective for the year 2023? I'm getting like pride, and they're almost showing like pride of fairies, pride of nomads, like pride of being able to like knowledge and wisdom, knowing, and like being able to bounce around. So they're showing almost like these little fairy creatures, like kind of bouncing around, like holding these little lights, almost like Tinkerbells, but they're green. And they have like this star dust all over their bodies, and they're bouncing around. Like there's such an optimism and like a trust in like their being able to bounce around. So I'm getting like positive effects from your knowledge and your wisdom and your guidance, the positive effects of your work, the positive effects of what you do, and being able to like trust the knowledge and the wisdom again of this star heart with this like umbilical cord into the stars. So you're able to make movements based on your astrological knowledge. And now they're going back to that, holding the stars close to your chest and hugging them.
Cute. I'll need star pillows.
Yeah, I get some star pillows, star lights, little fairy lights, starlight. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah.
Closing prayer.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to thank the masters, teachers, and loved ones for their love and compassion. I would like to thank the Lords of the Akashic Records for their point of view. And I would like to thank the Holy Spirit of Light for all knowledge and healing. The records are now closed. Amen. The records are now closed. Amen. The records are now closed. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you. What a cool experience that was.
So sweet. So much star dust, and yeah. Oh, gorgeous.
Makes sense.
Right.
If someone was feeling really called to your offerings and your messages, how might we get in touch with you? I asked you this question earlier too about the name Hey Clarity. You're heyclarity.com, right?
Heyclarity.com is the website. And it's about connecting with clarity and truth right now. It's very confusing. And we have resources and we have support to be able to connect with truth. Our truth, right? Whether it's your intuition, so you're teaching intuition, teaching to work in the Akashic records and mediumship, and organizing that in a way where you've got your very clean, clear channel support system that you can trust, right? So that's the Hey Clarity. Like, we need clarity, like, Hey Clarity, like anytime you're feeling confused about stuff, you can tap into your sources of clarity. So that's where that came from. So yes, you can visit heyclarity.com. And the free weekly collective messages are on Instagram. That's also Hey Clarity. It's _hey_clarity_. And then I have a really fun library on YouTube of Akashic Records readings that you can reference, fun stuff. And with respect to the solstice, there's actually a reading in the library on the winter solstice. And I thought it was really beautiful because in the winter solstice, so opening the records on the winter solstice and getting the Akashic Records perspective on it, there was a lot of talk about the North Star. And that was also in the weekly message this week. So I thought that was really cute. So yeah.
It was kind of in the Cosmic Cousins message for the new year too. The star came up a few times.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's really cool. Are you teaching people how to work with the Akashic records? I keep calling her just Akashic, the records.
You can call it the Akashic, Akashic record. Yes. So I teach how to work in the records. I do a 3-month program where we do 1 month weekly, 1 hour weekly devoted to intuition, that then transitions into 1 month of the Akashic records. And then the 3rd month is mediumship. And so I do like a 3-month program, but some people don't want to learn certain parts of that. I love that progression and those are my tools. So I love to passionately teach that, but some people just want to do 1 month. So I do 1 month of intuition, 1 month of Akashic records, or 1 month of mediumship. So yeah, it's custom. It's one-on-one private training. And I work in the records to make that custom. So if you wanted to learn the Akashic records, I open your records and we get a very custom private attunement just for you. So the records give you your own private attunement, which is really cool. And then basically the month is we're practicing one-on-one to make sure that you're really clear on trusting what you're getting from the records. Yeah.
Really powerful.
It's a lot of fun.
And Saturn enters Pisces next year. And this feels like, for those of you who have Saturn and Pisces in your chart, or if you're just wondering ways to navigate Saturn and Pisces, Pisces is connected to our psychic receptivity. And so Saturn is asking us to commit to these themes of our life as Saturn enters Pisces in March of next year. And we'll be in there for 3 years. We have that 3-year transit of Saturn and Pisces. So for those of us with Piscean energy, we may be called to these kind of practices. And for instance, Lindsay, you have Venus, Pallas, and Mars in Pisces. And so next year, it will actually be 2024 for you. Saturn will pass these planets, and that's you coming into your authority around these themes, which in many ways you already have, but there will be a leveling up even more over the next 3 years around everyone's Pisces placements. And I think that's coming through right now because Saturn is the ruling planet for Capricorn. And so for those of us with Capricorn energy following Saturn's transit. So I'm just feeling a strong resonance with what you're offering with Saturn entering Pisces. And I think more people will be looking for this kind of support. And
I love that. Yeah. It's my lifeline, and I just want to make it as accessible to people as possible. Things are really challenging and we need support. And these are some incredible sources of support I have found in my life. They keep me here, so I love to teach and have people have access to this as well, because we all can do this. It's innate in us. It's part of what being a human being is actually all about. There's so much more to us. We have these incredible, superpowers basically. And if only we knew that we could all access them, how we could utilize them is just incredible.
Well, thank you for reminding us of that today.
Yeah.
And it's been such an honor and a joy to connect with you in this way. So thank you for being here with us on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me. Such a treat for me. Thank you so much. And yeah, thank you for inviting me into your Cosmic Cousins community.
Yeah, it was such a memorable experience having the Akashic records opened. Oh, it was so cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Cosmic Cousins, I'm wishing for you a happy end of this year, 2022, and I'll see you next year for our Chariot year. 2023 is a 7 year, the Chariot. So that's something you could do over the next week or so, is put out the Lover's card and the Chariot card and begin to reflect on the turning of the wheel. I'll see you next time for the Cancer full moon in 2 weeks. Sending you a lot of love. Take sweet care, cousins, and remember, deep breaths.